All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to a special video I wanted to make today. So I wanted to go over how to build fail stacks and what process I use to do it. I'll teach you the basics of it, of making like a 50 stack and going all the way up to, I don't know, whatever we have. So if you've ever watched my enhancing videos in the past, you know I could just make 200 stacks. You know, I wouldn't say relatively easily, but it's not difficult. And we'll start from 0 just to make sure it's a little bit easier for everyone else, tell you what to do and everything. So before we start, I just want to say that enhancing is a whole mixed bag of RNG. If you one-tap things, obviously that's huge profits. Sometimes you make gains, sometimes you don't. So I'll just try to do my best to try to explain things in a way of how you should do it efficiently, and then what items you should go about tapping later on. So just watch my other enhancing videos for like higher end stuff if you want to see how to build big stacks. But I want to teach you the basics. And before we start, on the screen, there's a little code you guys can use for the birthday thing. Yeah, use it before January 26th, and it's just like memfrags, cronstones, and like dices and stuff. The usual stuff. But yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that. And some of these stacks that I've used are kind of similar to the way you would enhance boss gear, as in like Red Nose, Dimtree, Gaiath, Griffin, those kind of like boss gear. Not the Fallen God, Blackstars. Those are super late game, and then we'll talk about those later. But if you wanted to do things the most cost efficient way, clicking through Reblath is the way to do it. And you guys know, back in the day, this is like 5 years ago, we would be clicking plus 14s to a different number, but that was also before a lot of these came out. So nowadays, oh, what in the world? Someone's horse is just there. Nowadays, you could just use Blackstones and then just get an easy 30 stack and start from there if you wanted to, which I would definitely recommend. But I'm going to show you how to go about doing it, and we're going to start from 0. So let me just buy a bunch of like gloves or something, and then we'll just show you how. All right, so let's fill our inventory with gloves. It doesn't matter. Buy the cheapest one. Like, I know all the Reblaths are the same thing, but this is 21k and this is 12.9k. So just buy the cheapest one you can. All right, cool. So the idea back in the day was to build like a 20 stack off of plus 14s. And nowadays it kind of faded out ever since the whole system of just, here, you can make a 20 stack with this. And to save yourself the headache, definitely do that. It's a little bit more expensive, but I think on average it's a lot better. So let's show you how to do it. Once you get a bunch of Reblaths, just start clicking it, and then you don't worry about any like fail stacks. If it goes, it goes, and it doesn't. Basically, you hold on to them for later. But it's a little weird because it's like things like this, and then you're like, oh, plus 8, and you have a 6 stack, but it doesn't really matter up until later on. But right now, the idea is to basically get them to PRI. So do you need a lot of them? No. And so like this is how you build your fail stack, like gloves or whatever. And you don't actually need any artisans or anything. So no artisans, no memfrags. You just keep clicking things until they go. So if it goes up to like a 12, you start over. Then we'll use those later. Kind of was hoping that didn't go. But yeah, so this is the basics right now. What we're doing is making the PRI, and then once you get a bunch of them, like, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 rows of them. Ideally, I should probably just turn these 14s into PRI, which is the way. But just for the sake of demonstration, I'll show you how I go about doing it. So you might actually use a bunch of extra Blackstones early on just to make them, but that's okay because it'll be worth it in the long run. Trust me on that one. So when you think about it, one memory fragment is like 4 million, at least on the NA server. So it is a lot better to start making these stacks early on. Okay, so we have 14 now. 14 to 15 is usually the one where people made 20 stacks back in the day. So I think this is actually, since it is the hardest one to click normally from 14 to 15 on like most items, it's the one you should be doing. That's why. You guys know when you go to the church in like any town, it has that cleanse option from 15 to 14. That was a thing before they added those fail stacks like this thingy. So people who hit the 15s, okay, they would do that. And fun fact, for all of you who have been playing this game for at least 6 years now, we used to all have at least one red character or like negative karma just to downgrade our reblaths and other gear to enhance before the church downgrade option was a thing, and obviously before this. So the OGs remember the way to downgrade before all the easy convenient stuff came in. Okay, so let's say we made a 20 stack. All right, cool. We made our easy 20 stack with our plus 14. What do we do now? We want to start getting these. So let's just say you have some of these. Go gather, go buy them. It's actually kind of expensive now when you think of it. Armors are always more expensive just because like it costs more. There's a lot more things to make with armor stones. Okay, so we're just buying more for the sake of buying more. All right, so let's say you have your plus 14 right now, right? So this is why we have like, I don't even know why I have these. I should probably get rid of them. That's 73 mil for a pry. Holy dude, that's a lot. Remember green gear? This is how you know you're an OG, if you just have a lot of these randomly. So what you want to do, let's say you have a 20 stack, right? So from PRI-DUO, what I used to do is click them till like 32. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of them that go from PRI-DUO early on. So what you're going to want to do is hold on to the duos and build them up later. So if it goes, cool. If not, we're just on progress to make our 50 stack. Okay, so we have a duo. And let's just say, let's make another. Actually, no, let's use these because we had them already. I was hoping that wouldn't have gone, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. This is the thing that comes with enhancing. If you're trying to make everything min-max, this is how it's going to go. But I'm doing it for demonstration. Otherwise, I would just, you know, click that button. Start at a 20. Some people would click this from 14 to 15 on a 30. That was always scary back in the day for me. All right, so let's say we have a 20. Our goal is to get to 32, or we get all prize and then, or duos, and then we go from there. It's not particularly what I wanted to see. So this is why you have to have a bunch of them, and God, this is giving me like stress from years ago that I've never had to remember from so long ago. All right, anyway, cool. All right, we made our 32 stack. So as you guys can see, this is how you do it. And then from 32, what I usually do is start clicking these gloves from Duo to Try. And ideally, the goal is to stop around 50 stacks or like 45, 50, depending on how you feel about it. But this is like actually how you would enhance boss gear as well. So 20 to 32. I guess nowadays for boss gear it's a little bit different because memfrag prices are a lot higher. But yeah, if it goes to Pry on 32, that's actually not the worst thing you can do. But for the sake of like, you know, demonstration now, let me just actually pull out some stacks that we have. All right, so as usual, starting out with 20. I don't actually know what to do with a lot of these 20 stacks these days anyway. All right, so 31. And then our duos, like, also one other tip that you should do is never, usually I don't care if you auto arrange gear or not, but for enhancing, make sure to turn this off because you can sort them the way you want to. So like if you have a TET and then a try, you want to make sure to actually put your tries and duos in kind of like order. That makes things a lot easier to organize. So it's just one of those things you just kind of turn off auto arrange. Okay, so we have a 31 stack, and then as usual, we use our duos to try to build a 45 to 50. So this is why you kind of want to have multiple of them. This is where I think, honestly, things would get a little sketch. So if you are limited on your fail stacks and you have like, oh, that's a 44 and you're scared of that 33%, it's okay to like click it on that to make a 50 and something. And I don't think it's a bad choice. It's like, how risky do you want to be? You could click this all the way to 50 if you wanted to. And then, yeah. So let's do it for the memes. If it goes, that's actually probably pretty bad. But, you know, we do it for content. That's actually kind of... I never thought I'd be so excited to fail Reblath. Like, I'm at the stage in the game where enhancing is... like, we hit big items, but... Anyway, so we're at 47. If you look at this, the Adventurer's Choice thing, take that with a grain of salt, because here's how I read it. So people start clicking try to... or like going for a TET, ideally, starting at 45. Like, this is a good number to start it on the lower one, because you're building a Reblath for the stack, not to get a TET Reblath, right? So when you see people hit it, and this is one day successfully click it, I mean, they probably clicked a try to TET on the 60 and it went by accident. They didn't want it to go there. So you don't want to start there. This is just kind of how it ended. So you want to start at like the lowest one and then build it up. So yeah, from a try, see, that's how we built a 50 stack. And then ideally, if you were to keep going from 50 and up, what you would do is you would have a lot more of these tries, and then you would just keep going from there. So this is what you do. Basically, you don't have to buy any memfrags or anything. All you have to do is learn how to do basic math, like 5, 4, and then 3. How many is that? We buy 12 gloves, and then that repairs it all. I think we had one. So anyway, that's one way to do it. If you want to watch my like Blackstar or boss gear enhancing, you can definitely do that. I wanted to show you a little bit more of how we go about enhancing past 50 as well. Because yes, you can build Reblath all the way up to 250 doing very sketch things, but I think the better way to do it is if you are trying to make a stack the most efficient way possible, obviously Reblath is going to be the best way. But in the case of, let's say your stack goes you would want to be able to sell the item back and make at least some of the money back, or if it clicks on your first try, it might be profit. So, like, yes, you could click Reblath all the way up to like 200 if you wanted to, but you just want to, like, it's 2024, you kind of want to have a safety thing where if the item you want goes, you can either make some money out of it, but if it goes on Reblath, that's not money. Like, if you get a PEN Reblath, it actually does feel bad. So anyway, so from 50 stacks, what I would do is, if you have any boss gear, I don't know, do I have any boss gear that I can use as an example? I don't know, but either way, what you would do, in my opinion, is if you have like any boss gear, you can click those from TRI-TET. If those go, it's not really profit, especially you want to make sure to calculate everything. But what I do, and what you guys have seen me do in a lot of other videos, is actually clicking some of these. So I'm not going to do a lot just because I want to save this for like our next enhancing video. But usually a 50 stack is good for duo to try. And then obviously we go from there. But I'll show you what to do in the gap between like 60 to 100 in a minute. So let's say you have this stack, and then if you're actually trying to build Reblath, let's say you start over doing exactly what I told you, right? And now you have, I don't know, let's say you have a 30 stack again. If you wanted to, this isn't the most efficient way to do it, but it's a way that if things go, you feel like you actually made some progress. So what I do, if I'm not using Reblath, is I would just click from PRI-DUO, and then it goes from there. And then let's take one more. I'll save the rest of these for later. And then that other stack we have right here. Usually from duo to try, you could start like 60 to 70, by the way. But, you know, this also helps. So cool. Now we have a 60 stack. Now, ideally, what you want to do is actually ask yourself what item you want to enhance first, because different things have different values. So, for example, if you are making accessories, using a different stack from, you know, like duo to try for a distortion earring because you cron it would be a lot different from, let's say, if you're going duo to try for an ogre, which you probably wouldn't cron. Accessories are a little bit different because most of the time from duo to try, you start from like 40 up to, I guess, like 50, 60. But you only get one, whereas enhancing boss gear and Reblath is another way to do it. And when I say boss gear, this is what I mean. Like these kind of pieces of gear. Not like the orange ones. So either way, hopefully, I just want to say, if you have anything in particular you're looking to enhance, feel free to ask or just look it up. And I'm happy to point you in the right direction of if it's an accessory, boss gear, or endgame gear. There's a lot of things. I'm happy to point you in the right direction, but it's like too much to list in one video. So let me just give you a quick rundown. All right, let me just pick an accessory. Let's just use yellows for the sake of using yellows, boss gear, because these are actually relevant items. Base to pry, I would probably use a 20 to 25 stack. PRI-DUO, use a 40 stack. That is the soft cap. And then anything past 40 is kind of like diminishing returns. Duo to try, use a 44. TRI-TET, use a 110. And TET-PEN is where things get a little bit different, because it also factors in how much it costs. Like, for example, if you're going for TET-PEN for a crescent ring, and it's only 35 billion versus a distortion earring and you're going for TET-PEN, it's 150 billion. Obviously, you do things a little bit differently. So when it comes to overstacking, it's usually better to overstack on items that have a higher value, for example, distos. The reasoning why is because you can't buy the bases off the market as easily, whereas the easier ones to enhance are very obtainable, and then you use cron stones and you don't. But yeah, when it comes to other things, let's talk about black stars, because these are relevant. If you want to watch how I do from 0 to 15 and then PRI to TET, just watch the other videos. I have links in the description to the playlist. You could just pick out one thing I made. But PRI-DUO, start at 30, go to like 50. Duo to try, I usually start at lowest I'll start at is 50. Highest I'll start at is a 70. And then from duo to try. And then try to TET, you want to start at least at 110. And then ideally, I guess it depends on the price of the market. You would have to factor that in. But like between like 110 to 200 stacks, in case you're wondering how to build in a way where you make money back, in case it goes, yeah, like 110-ish up until 200 for TET Black Stars. And then for pen, from TET to pen, you use like 230 and up with crons. So yeah, there's a lot of things I can mention, but those are generally things you want to actually learn how to do. But anyway, hopefully you guys learned how to build like a easy 50 stack, which is something I think a lot of new players would do. But I just want to say, this is actually very important nowadays. Just use this. Like, if you want to start, like, skip the entire, you don't like making 14s to 15s and all that stuff, it's fine. If you want to skip that and start at, like, a 20 to 30, I think that's fine. So, what I usually do, my most picked ones are either 20 or 30. 25 is kind of like a weird spot. I guess it depends on what you're doing, but generally, if you're enhancing gear that can downgrade, so, like, not accessories, I usually just start at 30. But if you're doing like base to PRI accessories, 25 is fine. And then if you're feeling like you think you can do it, you're feeling lucky today, 20, I guess, depending on what you want to do with it, cool. Or if you're just trying to build a 30. But I know this is very confusing, and like it's very hard to actually explain how to enhance it. I don't think anyone or very few people know how to explain enhancing to a level where you can min-max the price. I think the best person you would want to watch is Biohack. All he does is enhance, and he knows things like how to just do a lot of things. So I hope what I taught you was like basic stuff and it helped you. But just watch my videos. I'll leave a link in the description to the playlist of a lot of other things I've enhanced over the years, and hopefully that helps you pick out stacks for items you want to make. But with that said, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I know this was a complicated video and you probably still have questions. That's just because this game enhancing is difficult, and the best advice I can give all of you is buy your gear. Straight up skip the RNG, and chances are, for most people, it's actually cheaper. So with that said, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.